Well, boys, it's been a while since I've done a chapter review, but how could I not do one for chapter 267? And you know what? Since we're at the end of the manga, I guess I'll be doing a review for each of these last 5 chapters because I love y'all. But anyway, this week's chapter of Jujutsu Kaisen was a banger. It was probably one of my personal favorite chapters, and for many reasons, honestly. For now, let's just jump straight into it and make sure to stick around to the end to hear my thoughts if I don't end up tossing them out while I go over the chapter. If you're new here, please like the video and subscribe if you're feeling like helping a brother's channel out. Thank you. Appreciate it. Boy, oh boy, chapter 267 was one for the books. Honestly, if you managed to make it to read the official, spoiler-free, pat yourself on the back. And honestly, you should just comment, I made it, in the comment section. I'm really curious to see who survived this crazy week unspoiled. But we start this week's chapter off with a very nice but chill colored page. You have all 3 of the kids here, along with Gojo, and I don't know if these are supposed to be their favorite dogs, or maybe Gege was saying that these were the dogs they would be if each character was a different breed of dog. We all love dogs, and so hey, dogs are cool with me, whatever. My girl Nobara is here on the cover, and if you haven't seen an old video I made a while back about her returning, let's just say I've been waiting for this. Anyway, on to the chapter. It begins with a flashback, and we get to see Yuta and Gojo doing their switch training. It looks like they've taken a break from whatever they were doing, and Gojo is in Yuta's body while Yuta is in Gojo's body, and they're having a conversation about Sukuna's last finger. Yuta asks Gojo to give it to him and guesses Gojo is hiding it somewhere. He says he can't read Gojo's memories even though their bodies swap, so this would mean that when Yuta pulled up to face Sukuna in Gojo's body, it wasn't with all the knowledge that Gojo had. He does say during that fight that he's searching Gojo's memories, but that's after he's used Kenjaku's technique to transplant himself, so he really only had about 5 minutes to scan the memories, it would seem. Otherwise, he wouldn't have had to ask for the location of the finger. Anyway, Gojo refuses to give him the finger and tells him that it wouldn't be enough for his technique, and this first bit of the chapter was really good to me because for the longest time I wasn't in agreement with the conditions of Yuta's technique being eating. Hear me out. Don't get me wrong, I'm completely fine with being wrong. I never thought it would be bad if the conditions were eating. It's just that before now the technique had never once been explained, and I just thought that Yuta could unconditionally copy, maybe once he's seen the technique or understood how it worked. But Ryu commented on it being eating because he saw Rika bite Uro's arm, and Sukuna assumed it was eating when Yuta mentioned how Sukuna never found his last finger. But in each of these cases, Yuta nor the narrator ever confirmed it. Yuta just kind of smiled and let people think whatever they wanted to think, similar to how he let his opponents think that the technique is lost when stolen, but Angel showed up to use Jacob's ladder, which surprised Sukuna. Gojo and Yuta continue talking, and Gojo tells Yuta to ask Yuji off screen, and then we move to that happening where Yuta is explaining how much of a body part is eating affects how much he's able to use the copy technique and things like that. One of the few drawbacks to his techniques is if the person can use reverse curse technique and heal the missing body part, that would cause Yuta to lose that ability, so he couldn't just copy stuff like Gojo's abilities and have him regen back. But he explains that since Angel and Inumaki's arms can't be restored anyway, it's okay for them to be eaten. The team all worries about the whole resonating thing from before and talk about if eating Yuji's finger to gain access to the shrine ability might alert Sukuna to their plan, and since Yuji can't read Sukuna's thoughts, they think that it goes both ways, so simply telling Yuji is okay. After the flashback, we jump back into the battle with Yuji and Sukuna after Yuji's gauntlet has been peeled back and Sukuna is analyzing the situation. Seeing Yuji is missing 2 fingers, he remembers that he ripped off one himself, but pieces it together and now knows that Yuta just mentioned the finger to throw him off and it was a bluff. Yuta never had Rika eat Sukuna's finger, he ate Yuji's, so that means Sukuna's finger is still somewhere hidden, which is what we saw at the end of last chapter. But here we are again, the final finger hanging by threads as Utahime and Gakuganji talk about how it can withstand any attack, but maybe if they stop trying to destroy the finger and instead try to attack it with curse techniques they can get somewhere. On the last panel of this page, they say it hasn't even been an hour since she's woken up. Who is she, you might ask? God damn it, Nobara Kugasaki, that's who. Our girl is finally back at the very end to save the day, and I couldn't be happier, bro. Just seeing her face had me losing it. She's got an eye patch like people thought she would, and I gotta say I've always held on faith that she would come back. It feels good to be on the right side of history. Anyway, after she says let's see some smiles, which will probably be different in the official translation, she cocks back her hammer and drives a nail into Sukuna's finger, using her resonance technique, exploding spikes out of Sukuna's body back on the battlefield. Sukuna reels back, realizing what just happened, and now he's unable to guard against Yuji's attacks within his domain. In the official translation here, Nobara says, "Gotcha, you idiot." But in the fan translation, she says, "How's that for OPP?" which was a reference to what Yuji said after he surprised everyone by being alive. Yuji, seeing his friend's curse technique at work and realizing what happened, he doesn't miss a beat, immediately dismantling Sukuna and following up with a punch that causes Sukuna to pick up even more fingers. Looks like about 3 or 4 this time, and he doesn't have time to scoop them up, so he returns a fist to Yuji's gut. Sukuna won't go down without a fight, and he's been given one hell of a fight. He notices Yuji hasn't been healing his body either, and knows that he's been spending a ton of curse energy to maintain the domain. To him, Yuji is definitely feeling cornered right now, and everything rides on these last few moments. They go back to exchanging fists, but Yuji, for the first time in a long time, throws out a divergent fist that catches Sukuna off guard. Yuji says it's time to end this cycle of curses and lets off one last black flash to Sukuna's gut, which whites his eyes completely out for the end of the chapter. What a hype chapter we got this week for so many reasons. Like I said, I had a lot of reasons to love this. For one, a black flash is always hype. Yuji even brought back the divergent fist. 2, we got to know all the ins and outs of Yutsu's curse technique and learn the full extent of their plan to exterminate Sukuna. And 3rd, Nobara returns. Man, I'm gonna have to think about that for a minute, but this is probably one of my favorite all-time chapters. Like top 5, I say. It did stir up a long controversy online though, and it's been a mixed bowl. For one, I'm happy that a lot of Nobara doubters got to take the L. I never doubted Nobara would return, and a lot of people did for this or that reason, but it got to a pretty crazy point where people would say stuff along the lines of, "You're stupid if you think she's ever coming back," and talked about how obvious it was that she was dead. Unfortunately, these people will never admit to being wrong. We told them to let JJK cook and see, but you know, I don't know. Everyone thinks they're smarter than everyone on the internet and just can't be wrong. Now, people are just spinning this as bad writing. I saw a couple times before, like in My Hero Academia, spoiler alert, but when the traitor reveal happened, everyone was going on about how it was so obvious that the traitor was Invisible Girl, and then the following week, it turned out to be a fake out. And it was the Belly Laser Kid. A few chapters later, when Bakugo got severely wounded at the end of the chapter, I knew he'd come back, and people were going crazy saying he's really dead, and I was just like, wow, have you guys never, ever heard of a cliffhanger? He's definitely going to come back, and he was straight like a week or 2 later. But those people never came out and was like, dang, I was wrong. They just find something else to complain about, or they just vanished for a while. With Nobara, the argument I always heard was, what would even be the point in bringing her back? And I always had to bring up how useful Resonance was. Like, everyone forgot about how she helped out versus Mahito, and Mahito himself even considered her to be his natural born counter with the way her technique worked. Sure, I would have loved to see Nobara come back sooner, like I said in the video I made about how she could come back. But honestly, she probably would have died unless she managed to fight a bunch of bums when you look at the quality of fighters that were involved in the Culling games. And also, it would have ruined the surprise of having her use Resonance on the finger. If she was around the whole time, then the public opinion would have just been, whatever, Nobara's just going to use Resonance on the finger. We know how this fight's going to end for months and months, and I'm glad we got what we got. I do believe there was an editor note that said that the fight with Urame would end next week, and I think that's hilarious, but it'll be even cooler if my theory for that came true. I think Urame will feel that Sukuna's cursed energy has vanished and realize he's died, and they'll be unable to live in the world without Sukuna and take their own life. In the end, Hikari wouldn't even earn the W, it would just be handed to him. This chapter was a banger, and there's not enough words to tell you guys how hype I was. I'll say though, one last thing before I head out. If Nobara could come back, don't be surprised if Kenjaku rears his ugly head up one last time before the series ends. I don't care if he pops up for a single panel and gets wiped out immediately. I'm gonna laugh and scream another "I told you so" to all the people that said that these characters were so obviously never coming back. Anyway, that's the end for this week. Like I said, if you enjoyed the video, leave a like and subscribe. Drop some comments to tell me how you're feeling, and come back later in the week for more JJK videos. I got a few more cooking up along with some Ranger videos, so I'll be seeing you guys again soon. Thanks for watching.